Hi guys, I'm Shania, or you can just call me Shan. I am an engineering student and I just finished my freshman year 2 months ago. I learned a lot, really, from ACADS to personal life. I wouldn't trade my fresh experience for anything else. I'll be starting my sophomore year in a few weeks, so wish me luck. But before that, I want to share with you the lessons I learned during my freshman year. You'll never be ready for college. As a high school student coming from a very competitive environment, I thought college would be much easier since I already went through a lot during senior high school. Or so I thought. No matter how prepared you are before the start of the school year, being a freshman will really make you realize that things are very different, and that those things that you have prepared have become useless. The culture, standard, the way people speak, the language, it was all new to me. And it was a big adjustment period because I had to start from square one. Just like communication, I wasn't able to properly speak the language since I wasn't used to it. Recalling the first semester, I would speak broken Filipino, and because it was embarrassing, I just shut myself to talking to other people because I wasn't capable enough to formulate the words. I also struggled asking for help because it would take me seconds to translate, since I'm Bisaya, what I want into the language they use. Thus, a big struggle for me, especially in academics, where I chose to not ask questions to my professor just because I didn't know how to speak their language. But as I was surrounded with understanding people, I got used to language and eventually became almost fluent in it. I never thought that I would come to a point where speaking this language would be my second nature. So, if you're like me, don't be disheartened if you experience the same struggle. You'll eventually learn about it as time passes. Giving out your best is not a guarantee that you'll get the best result. Before college started, I set my goals and mind to working hard and being strict in my studies. I would give out my best, especially if it aligns with my interests. But sadly, I always find myself being frustrated because my efforts were not equating with the results. In high school, I had this mindset, which I also used during my freshman year. But eventually, I realized that every test is an evaluation of how much you know, not on how much effort that you put into it. No matter how much work you put into it, only the results will matter in the end. During the semesters, there are really subjects that will make you realize it. You'll hear from people that would only study 1 hour before the test and getting a near perfect score, and here you are studying a week ahead just to get a barely passing score. Life will never be fair. Your 100% can be a 10% sum, and your 10% effort would be someone's 150%. Maybe it's that pride inside of you that you deserve the outcome because of what you know and not because of what you can only get. It was hard unlearning it, but shifting my mindset really helped me get out of it. We have this tendency that once our goal isn't accomplished, no matter how much effort we put into it, we give up. But rather than doing that, take it as a challenge and treat it as a game. What do I need to change? How can I get better grades? Persist. You'll eventually find yourself looking back and being happy that you still continued fighting. Learn to rest. You only have yourself at the end of the day. The majority of freshies are full of energy that they work hard like there's no tomorrow. Well, I'm one of them. And one of my regrets during my freshman year is that I didn't set a time to rest and unwind. I became workaholic to the point that I would only study all week forgetting my hobbies and life. Although it was really busy during that period and resting was nowhere to fit into a tight schedule, forcing yourself to work even though you're fatigued would only result into unproductive output. Also, treat yourself like a machine. It can only work for a period of time until the engine breaks. Don't bring yourself to a point of burnout. In the end, you'll just blame yourself for not being able to function properly. I've been there, and I learned the hard way during a test where I wasn't able to answer an easy question because I took the exam fatigue and thus I panicked in the middle of the exam. First experience for me, which led me to neglect some studies because the thought of studying just makes me vomit. So, be kinder to yourself and never sacrifice health for the sake of grades. It is your responsibility in the first place to not bring yourself in a point of burnout. Remember, you only have yourself to work with. It's okay to feel lonely during your first months. Here in our university, we don't have what you call blockmates, where you have a whole class that you'll be with until you graduate. So here, since we have the choice to pick our schedule, we will be classmates with different type of people every sem. During the first semester, we were provided with a schedule, which means we have these super classmates or people who have the same schedule as yours, who you will be with for the first sem. Although I had friends during that sem, I don't know if they consider me as a friend, I still felt lonely because the friends I had there is very different to my friends in my hometown. Also, I felt like I was only friends with them only when it comes to academics. So it's really hard to have meaningful ones during those times. It was also hard to make friends because their interest doesn't match with mine, as well as my humor. There were lots of adjusting during those times, but I made meaningful friendships during the second sem since I adjusted to the language, the culture of my university, and many things. So don't lose hope if you feel lonely during your first months. Maybe you just need to be more open to other people, take opportunities to interact and connect with them, and eventually you'll just find yourself laughing along with them. Be realistic. Stay grounded with your goals. Learning from the mistakes during our high school days and starting a new beginning, all freshies have this desire to be an achiever, wanting to attain a flat 1 grade or graduating with Latin honors. Although there's nothing wrong with having those goals, but if achieving them means that you need to sacrifice your health, friendships, and sanity, it might be better to take a step back and assess yourself. Studying in a very competitive environment with students coming from top schools, it is no wonder why stellars have this perfectionism mindset when it comes to academics. Before college, my innocence led me to set unrealistic expectations for myself, and realistically, I didn't achieve any of those. As they say, college will really humble you and break you to a point that you need to build yourself again. But this time, with realistic expectations and achievable goals. If you've been in this situation, realize that your capabilities are only limited, and not achieving those goals won't make you less of a person. Assess yourself. Maybe it's that pride of wanting to be the number one so that people will look up to you that pushes you to set those unrealistic goals. Maybe you have these people-pleasing tendencies that you need to have this certain grade so that you can show it off to other people. Or maybe it's that negative inner critic inside of you, or that insecurity that drives you. Take time to assess yourself. Always stay grounded and be humble, for pride comes before fall. Be more understanding of your mistakes. If you are an achiever during your high school days, always achieving a high score just by studying on the day of the exam, it might be hard for you to forgive yourself when you fail your first exam in college. Most of the time, being a freshie is just all about adjusting to everything. May it be the environment, the people, and academics. And in every aspect of our adjustment, we always make mistakes because we're expected to, for us to learn and recalibrate. My adjustment period was very challenging. I can still remember last year, it was my second week staying and I suddenly got sick and was rushed to the hospital twice in a week. And one of them was caused by an allergy which I wasn't expecting since I don't really have any allergies. And then I just knew that I was allergic to one of the pollens which I got inside the university. So, although I just laugh it now, but if I recall it, I can't blame anything since I can't control my body for it acting that way. For it was also my first time seeing that long in there. Also, in academics, I always make mistakes and I learn from them. It was hard at first, but I eventually got used to it since, of course, I don't have time to be sad since there's like always an exam every other day. One thing that helped me is to try to shift my mindset and not compare my progress to other people. It was me, most of the time, reassuring myself that this will all pay off soon. Maybe it's not just my time right now. Being secure to my identity, not clinging my self-worth to grades, and lots of affirmations for myself to not fall into that pit of self-pity and comparison. I cannot fully say that I have adjusted fully into this university since I only experienced 2 semesters of it. But what really stood out in my adjustment period was my resiliency when faced in any situation. That in any failures and disappointments that I experienced, I didn't give up. And to the fresh Shan that keeps on making mistakes, I'm happy that I was more forgiving and understandable of myself. Until now, that I'm still adjusting, learning, and growing. It's okay to fall behind. Focus on your own journey. In college, no matter how much you are prepared for the exams, there will really be a time when all your plans will not work due to exams and quizzes stacking up that will leave you to choose which you'll be sacrificing and prioritizing. Falling behind in the middle of the semester is pretty common. Most students are burnt out just living exam after exam, counting the number of days left until the finals, and sleepless nights just to finish the requirements. With all of this, students are just trying to survive to finish the race. Although there will come a point where you'll see everyone around you being ahead of you, always fight the temptation of comparing yourself to others. However, it's good if that comparison motivates you to be better, but if it only makes you insecure and bitter of other people's success, take a step back and assess yourself. Be grateful of your growth and develop the courage to accept your limitations and capabilities. Comparing yourself from what you see and know will only bring you down. Remember, it's not only you who is working hard. Everyone around you is also doing their best. They just don't show it. Always be responsible. If it's your first time being away from your parents, living during your stay in your university is challenging since you only have yourself to manage everything. From managing your finances to planning what your next meal would be, it's really taxing and draining. But as time passes by, you'll get used to it and it will just turn out into a routine. Academically and personally, in every aspect of your life, you must be responsible of how you live because it would be a training for you once you enter into the adult world. In every situation, you must decide wisely. Learn how to say no without the fear of being left out. Examples would be if you were invited to eat out with friends and you knew that you're going to a restaurant that's out of your budget, learn to politely say no and explain to them why. The real ones will understand. Don't let the pressure put you in a situation where you can't eat the next day. Although in this situation, it's easier said than done, building that discipline of being responsible takes time to develop. That's why it's important to stick to your values and beliefs so that deciding on risky choices would be much easier. Don't take failures seriously. It's not the end of the world. Every student has experienced receiving a failed mark in their life. From midterms to finals, having a failed test score is heartbreaking, especially if you know that you gave it your all. I've experienced that and it's hard. I became sad for a period, contemplating if this course was really for me, and finding people with the same sentiments as mine. It was hard for me to recover, but I had no choice but to continue and recalibrate to be better. I believe that the root causes why people give up when faced with failure are that they don't trust the process. They expect too much from themselves and box their whole identity with their grades. And the latter is pretty common to students, especially when they work in a very competitive environment. In every failure you have in your uni life, take it as a challenge for you to grow to be stronger. Just like a muscle, it needs to experience pain for it to grow bigger. So in every failed marks you receive, use it as a fuel for you to bounce back. Because in every bad experiences you have, you'll always learn. And when you know better, you'll eventually do better. Have fun. Be yourself. Be open to new people. One of the regrets I have during my freshman year was that I let my studies and academics be my whole world. Although one of the factors was me having the pressure of having to maintain a scholarship, I restricted myself of doing the things I love, especially during second semester where I just study all week without a break. Even though we want to achieve our goals during college, getting a Latin honor or a high GPA, may the goal of achieving it not hinder us from taking opportunities to unleash our potential. Remember that we are also humans. We need to have fun and live life. This will only be 4 or 5 years in your life and you'll never go back to it again. Don't forget to enjoy the journey, live in the process, and get to know more people. Be open about yourself, build meaningful relationships, and document your journey.